Howdy, folks. What's going on? This is Outlaw Hatfield back at you one more time. Of course, I've got Rich with me tonight. How are you, Rich?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. It's going. I did catch the thing on Brody Lee, the tribute. Yeah, it was good. It was really good, man.
Yeah,
Um, I I thought they kept it classy, and
yeah,
that's that's just something I appreciate.
yeah. I mean, you knew who was going to win every match because every match had somebody from the Dark Order in it. But they
And
did a good job of keeping you in doubt at times.
it was like I said, it was classy.
Hmm.
Uh, and I've watched some of the stuff that coming out of the WWE and been paying attention to some of the tweets from the guys over there. Um, he seemed to be universally loved, man.
Oh
He's
yeah,
just
you're not going to find somebody that has something bad to say about this guy. He was, if from all accounts, and everybody will tell you the same thing. He was the most humble guy you'd ever want to meet, and he put his family on a pedestal above the business, which some people don't.
mm,
Eric
you know,
Rowan Eric Rowan told the story when they were a tag team back in WWE when they were the first with Bray Wyatt and then when they were the Bludgeon Brothers, that when they were done with a show, he would say goodbye. He's like, "I'll see you in forever," and then he was gone. Right? He didn't wait around. He didn't hang around with everybody. Not that because he didn't like everybody. He wanted to get back to his family so bad that as soon as he was able to go, he was out of there. He, he was the consummate family man, and everybody will tell you that.
well, well, you know, it's good. It's good to hear things like that because you hear you especially from the you hear the stories about them going out and partying this that and the other. Hey, gun loving grandpa, what's going on?
Hey,
You'd
Buck.
hear about you'd hear about them partying, you'd hear about them, doing this or doing that, and certain names always seems to pop up in those stories, and you know them just as well as I do.
Mhm.
We're not going to call anybody out here, of course, because you know, despite what they did outside the ring, inside the ring, these guys were great. So, um, some of them had to pay hefty tolls for the things they done outside the ring, and we're just going to leave it at that. And you know, they're in my eyes, they're no matter what they were like in reality. What you seen on TV is what I knew about them, and their personal lives really ain't none of my business. So, um, so what's coming up next on the now, folks? Don't get me wrong. I know we talk a lot about the older stuff here, but we're also going to talk a little bit about the new stuff. And Rich keeps up with it more than I do. So, Rich, what's happening right now in the world of professional wrestling? What's
Did you
coming up that we need to be watching?
did you happen to catch what happened at the end of Dynamite this week?
No, I did not.
We had us a good old fashioned Bullet Club reunion.
Oh, really?
Kenny Omega, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and the Young Bucks all as cameras went off in the ring doing the two sweet
Huh. Wow.
as they were standing over Ray Phoenix's body, or John Moxley.
Cool. Well, there we go. There we go. How's Sting fitting in all this?
Sting is still doing whatever it is he's doing with Darby Allen and Taz's bunch.
Huh? He's not done anything else with Cody.
Not this past week, no. It was Sting and Darby Allen again,
Hmm.
and they debuted the new TNT title belt.
I saw that and it looks good. That I did see. That is a good looking title. I think the old, television title looked better, but hey, I'm biased. That there's just something about that red and silver title that I will always love.
Yeah. Well, NWA right now has the 80s version of the TV title.
Do they?
Yeah.
That is cool. Have you heard anything else about what's going on with the mix up with AEW and NWA? Are they actually trying to get some working relationship or
I believe this week coming up, the NWA women's title is going to be defended on Dynamite.
really?
Hmm.
That is cool. Now, how does Impact fit in on all this?
Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are the Impact Tag Team Champions.
Wow. Okay, so
And Don Callis is one of Impact, who's basically managing Kenny Omega right now, is one of Impact's executive vice presidents.
huh? So what you're basically seeing right there is three separate organizations working together. Could you imagine? And we've talked about this before. Could you imagine what would happen if they would just completely combined under one roof, under
Oh,
one banner?
it gets better.
Well, yeah, New Japan too. I forgot about New Japan.
Jay White gave, who is who is basically the leader of the Bullet Club over in Japan, gave a promo saying that he's leaving Japan, that he wants to go home. He's originally from New Zealand, but he lives in Florida.
Oh, really?
What promotion is doing all their shows in Florida right now?
Hmm. That what would that be? That would be AEW, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
WWE is doing it too. But if what is being foreseen in the future is going to happen, Jay White saying that and going back to Florida and showing up on AEW, that would be big.
Yes, yes, yes. And that would open up the door for some of the guys from Japan to move right on in.
Well, remember, Chris Jericho has gone back and forth between AEW and Japan and New Japan, and so has Moxley. Moxley is the New Japan United States Heavyweight Champion right now.
Well, so where do you see Moxley's future?
Moxley's going to do whatever he wants at this point. I mean, his work with New Japan before COVID hit, and the work he's put in with AEW, he's pretty much earned the right to do whatever he's going to do. And I don't see either New Japan or AEW giving him grief working for either one of them, working for both still. Jericho currently isn't under contract with New Japan, but he could go back over to Japan anytime he wants to as well. And that's another thing. Another thing with the New Japan thing, when Jericho did his 30 years in the business tribute episode of Dynamite, Hiroshi Tanahashi, who is the ace of New Japan, he's basically the face of New Japan, was in the tribute video that they played, where everybody was giving well wishes to Jericho and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you got that. There's just some interesting things that are happening, and it's all surrounding AEW with all these other companies. And on that front, at Impact's next pay-per-view, it's going to be Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, versus Cedric Alexander, who is the TNA or Impact World Heavyweight Champion, and the Motor City Machine Guns, who are the Impact Tag Team Champions.
So it sounds like what you were talking about a few weeks back just may happen. These three companies could indeed, end up under one banner.
or at least working
four
real
companies.
close together. And
Yeah,
don't forget,
Two Live Move just showed up. Teresa Sarone's out there. Howdy, Teresa.
AAA in
Yep,
Mexico. Omega is still their heavyweight champion as well as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion.
yep. Well, you know. So now AAA, who do they have running for them right now?
It's a bunch of Mexican luchadors. I know Phoenix and Pentagon are both assigned to them. But yeah,
Who's Juventud wrestling for? Is he still wrestling?
he's. I want to say he's with CMLL, but I'm not sure.
I would love to see Hoovy back. But, he's 20 years older now. Probably cannot do the things he used to do 20 years ago.
I don't know.
So,
I don't know about that. Look at Mysterio. Mysterio's
yeah,
older than Hoovy.
Yeah.
And AJ Styles, too.
Yeah.
And, they still got some, as long as they keep themselves in shape and don't suffer any really serious injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, Jericho's still doing moonsaults and crap. He's older than all of them.
Yeah. I used to love to watch Juventud Guerrero. People talk about Rey Mysterio, and Rey Jr. was great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he wasn't a great wrestler. I don't think he was as good as Juventud, in my opinion. Because if you go back and watch some of Hoovy's matches from the Nitros or whatever from back in WCW, man, he could do things that just unreal.
Yeah.
So you look at watch some of the matches him and Ray put on. I mean, they were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Real quick, we got Buck has a question. He wants to know how old AJ Styles is. If I remember right, he's 43.
Yeah, he's up there. But don't let that throw you off because Ric Flair was still winning world championships when he was 45, 46.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hulk Hogan was still winning world championships when he was almost 50. So AJ still got another good 10 years in him if he takes care of himself.
Yeah, Kota Ibushi over in Japan, he just won during Wrestle Kingdom, which was excellent. Days 1 and day 1 and 2 of Wrestle Kingdom, but he just won the double championship, the World and Intercontinental Championships over there in Japan. He's 35. So I mean, for the first time, and this is the first time he's held the world title. He's held the Intercontinental belt before, but this is the first time he's won the world title.
Well, here's the thing that you got to keep in mind. Look at Diamond Dallas Page.
Oh yeah, he was in his 40s when he won his first title.
Yeah, exactly. So and if he hadn't had the neck injury in the, in WWE after WCW went under, he could have probably held 2 or 3 title runs there as well.
Well, he was still wrestling in TNA after that.
Yeah. So,
what channel is New Japan on? Okay, right now, New Japan doesn't have a TV deal in the United States. You have to watch it on their streaming service, which is njpwworld.com. But they are going to be going back on Access TV sometime in the near future. I don't remember what day. So check your provider to see if they have access. I know Dish Network has it. Comcast, I don't think does because I don't have it on mine. So I got their pay-per-view service. But their pay-per-view service, it's like 900 yen a month, which is roughly about $9.90 a month in that area. and you can watch the whole backlog and stuff.
Yeah. Um. Last week we were talking. We did top fives of some of the best painted wrestlers and masked wrestlers. I got one for you this week. Best little guys, and when I'm not talking like super little, like a Ray Jr. I'm talking about guys like Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho, guys that could go up against the bigger guys and legitimately give them a good run for their money.
Okay, right now I'm going to put a new guy on this list who's just starting out his career, but he reminds me a lot of a young Chris Benoit.
Okay.
And that's Show over in New Japan. He's a member of the Chaos Stable. He's a junior heavyweight, but he looks like if he eats a big enough sub, he's going to be a heavyweight.
Okay. So if you were to come up with a top 5 list of guys like that, who would you put number one? And that's how we're going to do this. We're going to go over the. You're going to tell me who yours is. I'm going to tell you who my pick would be for number
You
one.
might be able to guess who mine is because we've talked about that before. And putting aside all the controversy, everything that happened in, 2007, 2008, Chris Benoit is probably the best little guy that's ever been in the business.
That's a controversial choice because of things that have happened. Everybody.
That's why I prefaced it the way I did.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue with you, though. I'm really not going to argue. I'm sure that's a surprise to you. But outside the ring stuff that happened, notwithstanding. Inside the ring, what he did in professional wrestling, I would have to agree with you. Because he would get in there and he would, and more than once, he was in matches with guys that was, 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", and he'd come out on top.
Just look at the match between him and Bret Hart when Owen Hart died.
Yeah.
The tribute match the two of them did. And that match was not predetermined.
Nope. That they called that one in the ring. That is one of the most technically sound matches of the last 30 years, in my opinion.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the damage that he had done to himself over the years from doing that diving headbutt, which there are still guys for God knows what reason are still out there doing that. After everything that's happened to Dynamite Kid and Chris Benoit and other guys, that move almost ended Daniel Bryan's career. He was out of wrestling for 2 years recuperating. The fact that these guys are still out there doing the diving headbutt, just quit doing that move.
Yep. I'm going to go with number 2. My personal number 2 is going to be Dean Malenko. He was technically sound. Wasn't the biggest guy, wasn't a muscle guy, but he could go. He had the ability to tie you in knots in that ring.
Yeah, if Malenko had one weakness as far as a professional wrestler is he wasn't as good on the mic as some of the other guys.
Yeah.
That would be his one drawback.
I think Dean Malenko, if the WWE would have done pushed him the right way, he would have probably ended up a world champion. He had the tools. I think that if he was having that much issue on the mic, find a manager, find somebody to do the talking for him.
Yeah, but you're talking about it in the era where Vince decided he didn't like managers anymore.
Yeah, I understand that, and that's Vince for you. But I think that because of that, he missed a great opportunity with an absolutely fantastic talent like Dean Malenko.
Yeah. Well, for number two, I'm going to go another route, and I'm going to agree with Buck out there in the chat. He says Jeff Hardy when he has his mind straight.
Jeff Hardy's a good choice.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Jeff Hardy is a multi-time world champion in multiple promotions,
Yep.
multiple tag team champion with his brother in multiple promotions. I mean, multiple time Intercontinental champion, multiple time United States champion. He is a WWE Grand Slam champion. It's hard to argue with Hardy. I believe he's an Impact Grand Slam champion too. One of only I believe three. One of them being somebody else we talked about earlier, AJ Styles, who was the first.
So I will have to agree. Jeff Hardy would be a great choice. Who would you pick for number? Who was your number 3 pick?
Oh, I just mentioned his name. I'm going to say AJ Styles.
AJ. AJ was good. AJ's good.
He's held. AJ Styles is like a 10-time world champion when you combine Impact / TNA, New Japan, and WWE.
I'm gonna go a different route. I'm gonna say Kevin Sullivan. Kevin Sullivan didn't have a whole lot of world championship reigns, but his ring work, the fact that he would go in there against guys 2, 3, 4 times his size and just wear them out. And as far as a heel wrestler goes, it's hard to come up with a better heel than Kevin Sullivan. Whether he's a taskmaster or a games master, and he wasn't a very big guy. He really wasn't. But he just had that ability to, get inside your head. He could absolutely get a crowd on their feet and get them going. Literally, he was one of the guys you love to hate.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to go in that for number 3, similar vein to what you just said, or number 4, I should say, similar vein to what you just said about Sullivan, but a guy that's still going. I'm going to go Chris Jericho.
Yeah, Chris Jericho, that's another good choice. I'm not going to argue with that one at all. For number 4, Chris Jericho would be a fantastic choice. Chris Jericho's on my list, but he's not number 4. He's number 5 on mine. Number 4 on mine is going to be Eddie Gilbert.
Yeah, he was underrated.
He was very underrated. I absolutely love to watch Eddie Gilbert. He was another one of those guys that could pull heat like crazy when he was a heel, and when he was a baby face, he could sell like Ricky Morton almost.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, I'm sure some of you are going to be wondering later on, well, why didn't you talk about Ricky Morton in this list? Because he's one of the greatest of all times. Because we're talking about single wrestlers, not tag teams.
Yeah, Ricky Morton is definitely known more as a tag team specialist than he's a single wrestler. Even though he did have some run where he was challenging Flair for the world title.
Yeah. Well, he went up against Kevin Nash too, if you remember correctly.
Yeah.
Him and Kevin Nash had more than one round together. Of course, we all knew how that was going to end up, but it is what it is. Yeah. Honestly, I think that Eddie Gilbert, in his time, and he was a world champion.
Mm-hmm.
In his time, was an absolutely fantastic wrestler. He could pull heat when he needed to as a heel. As a baby face, he could sell. And he had this cockiness about him that he could use in either direction. I just thought he was just fantastic in that role. Gun Loving Grandpa says Shawn Michaels. I don't consider Shawn Michaels a little guy. I mean, Shawn Michaels is white.
Shawn Michaels is a little guy. He's
he's 225, 230. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cruiserweight.
Yeah. But he's shot. When I say little, I'm talking under 6 feet and generally one of those guys. Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, both fit that bill perfectly. Shawn Michaels is how tall? I think he's like 6 foot, 6'1".
Yeah. Now, number 5.
You already know who my number 5 is.
I got 2 guys, and I can't decide between them, so I'm going to put them both at number 5 as a tie. Hiromu Takahashi over in Japan. He is currently the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, and he just won Best of Super Junior tournament to get to where he could challenge for that belt. And the other's going to be Eddie Guerrero.
God, Eddie Guerrero. How did I forget about Eddie Guerrero? See, now you just threw a ringer at me, man. Now I got to think about my number 5 because Eddie Guerrero was just amazing. He was not only good on the mic, he was fantastic on the mic. He could go in the ring. He could do the luchador stuff when he wanted to. But he was also a decent power guy, too, for his size.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, Takahashi Hiromu, he's got a lot of the same qualities that Eddie had, which is one of the reasons why I can't split those two up. I mean, Hiromu Takahashi is the modern Eddie Guerrero. He's even in a branch of a Mexican freaking stable, for crying out loud. He's in Los Ingobernables de Japón, which is a branch of Los Ingobernables, and which is a stable in CMLL. When Naito went over to Mexico when he was having issues with New Japan, he went over to CMLL, worked there for a couple years, then went back to Japan and started the Los Ingobernables de Japón stable, which is basically Los Ingobernables, the Ungovernables of Japan, which is, Los Ingobernables is the Ungovernables in Spanish.
Yeah.
And one of the first guys that joined up is Hiromu. The first 2 guys that joined up with Naito were Evil and Hiromu, and Evil just turned on Naito and became a member of Bullet Club during the G1 this year. Or no, not G1, the New Japan Cup. So, I mean, there's connections to that. And the Guerrero family made their name in AAA and CMLL before they got into like Mid-South and everything. So it's like there's a connection there between them, and as far as that's concerned as well.
Yeah. I've been thinking about a wrestler here lately, and I cannot come to his name. It's just eluding me, and maybe you can help me out. And I know I should know this dude's name. He was a Japanese wrestler. He came to the ring with Japanese symbols written on his body. He normally wore all white. And he's bald-headed. He was bald.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. There's a couple of guys that did that, but I know Dick Togo did that for a little while.
Yeah, it wasn't him.
No, it wasn't him. God, I can't. I know who you're talking about. I'm picturing
him in my head. Yeah, exactly.
I can't think of his name either.
I was thinking about him, the last couple of days. What is that dude's name? And then what's going to happen is eventually it's going to come to me, and I'm going to slap myself in the head and like,
Yeah.
No. But
look after he's asking who's the guy that blew the green or red mist. Well, you had
Which one?
Kabuki. Great Kabuki did that.
And Muda did that.
Muda did that. There's some Tajiri did that.
Yeah, but Tajiri,
Yeah,
I,
Bushi.
I didn't really buy it from Tajiri.
Yeah, Bushi over in New Japan does it when, or at least he did before COVID hit, and they told him he wasn't allowed to do it anymore because of COVID.
Um,
So there's been a few Japanese guys that have done that over the years.
and now there's that Japanese girl in WWE's doing it.
Well, she was until again COVID hit. Yeah, Asuka, who
Yeah.
was known as Kano, or no, what the hell was her name? Shit. Kana, something along those lines.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Over in Japan when she was in Japan, over in Stardom.
No, it wasn't a sumo guy. G23. I see Ghost Tacticals out there. How you doing, Ghost? G23's out there. Who else is showing up that I might have missed? That's about it. Looks like.
Yeah, the guy that Ellis was talking about used to come out in a karate gi outfit.
Yeah. In fact, wasn't he one of Gary Hart's guys?
Might have been. Gary Hart had a bunch of people that he managed over the years. Gary Hart should be in the Hall of Fame for his managerial.
Yeah.
I mean, that,
you hear it's like that night we were talking about managers. Man, Gary Hart had some huge guys in his stables.
at any time, you had Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, Muda, Kabuki, Kamala. I mean,
yeah. Rick Rude.
Yeah.
Rude was in one of his stables for a while. Kevin Sullivan, absolutely. Gizzard Gary is out there. How you doing, Gizzard? How you doing, Bubba?
Saran out there saying Shinzaki is the guy with that you were talking about with the Japanese writing and the.
Does that sound right to you?
I don't know. Right I honestly cannot think of the guy's name. She might be right. I can't remember.
I can't look it up because I'm here. So
I can. Hold on. Let me check this.
Yes. You can be the research guy from now on. That's your job.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Jinsai
can you get a picture? Yeah. Can you put a picture up of him? Let me see.
Yeah. Where are we at here? Here we are. Let me go over here and share screen. You'll have to put that up.
Yeah. As soon as let's see at the stream. That's him.
Yep.
That's him. Very good, Teresa. Thank you. Yeah, but that guy was a pretty damn good wrestler, man.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened to him?
I don't know. There's a picture up here of him wrestling. It's like Ultimo Dragon.
Yep. I don't know, man. It's Ultimo Dragon. Ultimo Dragon is just one of those absolutely great wrestlers, man.
Yeah.
Well, he was fantastic.
He's still in the business. He's training guys down in Mexico now in CMLL.
Yeah. And I never knew what the Dragon Sleeper was until the Ultimo Dragon. And I fell in love with that move because it just looks awesome. The way he, and it was almost like he could hit that on you from any position. Just boom, and he's got you.
Yeah, we were talking a couple weeks ago about the way Sonata does it. I love the way Sonata does it. He does the Dragon Sleeper, but then he wraps his legs around you and squeezes you with his legs at the same time. He's pulling your head back like that.
Yeah, exactly. That would suck. Yeah, other than Ric Flair's figure four, what were some of your favorite finisher submission finishers?
Submission finishers.
And the reason I said other than Ric Flair's figure four is because, well, Ric Flair's figure four are always going to be some on that list,
Yeah.
and probably at the top.
Scorpion Deathlock.
I noticed you didn't say the sharpshooter.
No, I did because the Scorpion Deathlock was around first.
Exactly. You know how many arguments I've gotten in over that?
Yeah, and Sting wasn't the first guy to use it.
Nope. He got it from a shoot. I used to know that.
Riki Choshu.
Yeah, a Japanese guy taught him.
Uh-huh.
So fantastic move, by the way. I love the Scorpion Deathlock. Another one of my favorites was the STF. Just something about the STF.
Yeah.
It just looks painful.
Yeah. The Crippler Crossface.
Yeah, that's another one that just looks brutal.
Yeah.
Now if Sarge were here, he would undoubtedly say the Indian Deathlock, which is another one that. And there's several different ways to get into the Indian Deathlock. You can do it from a standing position. You can do it from a kneeling or a sitting position. Either way, it looks like it sucks because you got the guy's legs wrapped up, and you're using your hips and the force of your one leg to push all the weight up and out, and that looks like it just sucks.
Yeah. The Rings of Saturn.
I hadn't thought about that one in years. Does anybody still use that?
Yeah, Pac uses it.
Does he?
Yep. He calls it something else, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Buck wants to know what was the move that the Undertaker did, not the Tombstone. The triangle choke.
Yeah, he had a name for it, and I can't remember what it was.
Yep, that's what it is. It's a triangle choke.
Yeah. What the Gamora lock or something?
No, the Kimura is a double wrist lock.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, I'll tell you what, a submission maneuver that I just really never got was the toe hold, step over toe hold. I was always like, really? Come on.
Yeah, you look at the step over toe hold, and you're like, okay, why don't you just complete putting the figure four on?
Yeah, exactly. I used to watch Terry Funk do that, and I was like, well, dude, why do you stop there? Why don't you just go for it? Just go ahead and finish it off.
Yeah, the one that CM Punk used to do before he was told not to do it, but nobody knows why he was told not to do it because it wasn't all that brutal in real life. I mean, it wasn't going to hurt somebody with it. Was the Anaconda Vice. If he used the Uranagi, he would hit the Uranagi and go right into the Anaconda Vice from the Uranagi. And he just made that look so fluid and brutal when he would apply that.
Yeah. The Dragon Sleeper, we talked about that. But is that considered a submission maneuver or just a...
Guys would tap out to it.
Hmm?
And if you want to go that route, I'm going to go Skull End, which is Sonata's version, which just looks even more brutal because he puts the damn body scissors on you at the same time.
Yeah. The Angle Lock, of course, Kurt Angle's thing. God. The octopus hold. Remember that one?
Yeah.
That looked freaking brutal.
Zack Sabre Jr. still does that.
I mean, you got your leg wrapped around the dude's neck while you're pulling up on his torso.
Mm-hmm.
It just, it's basically an abdominal stretch with your leg around the dude's neck in a standing position.
And an arm bar kind of on there too.
Yeah, that just looks like it would suck.
Yeah.
In several major ways.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Now there's one that Jay White has that he only uses in certain situations. He calls it the Tanahashi tap out. It's
mhm.
kind of like a figure four, but the guy is laying on his belly instead of his back when he puts it on. That
Mm.
it just looks so much worse than the figure four.
I heard Flair do an interview one time. Said, I've used that U move for 40 years and I never won anything with it. Never won a match with it. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well,
Yes, he had.
that ain't exactly accurate.
No, he
And I
beat
was like,
Sting with it.
see,
He beat Dusty Rhodes with it.
Terry Funk.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was like, well,
Well, considering Rick's history, he may just not remember.
you have a point. Uh, yeah, I got drunk after that match. I don't remember. Uh, wow. Yeah, yeah.
And
But
you brought up the Kimura. Brock Lesnar, when he hooks that Kimura on, he looks like he's just going to break somebody's arm off.
yeah. Um. Oh, the chicken wing, the crossface chicken wing. That was another one that looked
Oh
kind of
yeah,
painful.
the guy that does that really well is Marty Skrull. He's a
Um.
little guy, and he puts that on the big guys, and he makes the big guys cry.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Now,
And they sell that move so well when he puts it on them.
do you remember the double arm chicken wing?
Mm-hmm.
I have only seen that move used a few times, and the one that has always really stood out was the Steamboat Flair match, where Steamboat made Flair tap. Remember that?
That might have been the one I didn't have the cable at that point. We talked about that
Yep.
a couple months ago when all that was going on with Flair and Steamboat. We didn't have
I think that was a
cable at
two
the
out of
time.
three. I think that was a 2 out of 3 where Steamboat won the title, maybe, or he won one of the 2 out of 3s with that move because it had started off with a superplex that messed Flair's back up, of course, because of the back injury. And then it went up with that double arm chicken wing, and Flair tapped. Flair gave it up. So,
No, I
interesting
mentioned
move.
Zack Sabre Jr. before when we were talking about Dean Malenko. Zach reminds me of Malenko as far as his technical prowess is concerned, but he's
Mm-hmm.
a big, lanky kind of guy. He's tall, but he's thin as a rail. And he
Yeah.
will twist you up in knots like you would not believe.
Now Clover's out there. Clover being from Texas, how did we leave out the Texas clover leaf?
Well, we didn't. I was going to get to that.
No, well,
that that's Hiroshi Tanahashi's finisher. His
well,
finishing finisher.
that was also Dean Malenko's finisher.
Yep, Malenko. A lot of guys have used that over the years.
Yep, and that's
Didn't
another one that
Terry Funk use that at one point?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Now, who was that did a variation of that? But he did cross the legs. It looked almost like an inverted figure four, and then he just leaned backwards and grabbed dude's neck.
God, I don't know.
I can't remember who did that, but man, it looked absolutely brutal.
Yeah,
Because not only is
there's a female wrestler in NXT that she does a standing version of it. She's supposed to be one of the strong women, so she'll put
mm-hmm,
the clover leaf on, and instead of like sitting back like you would with that or like with the Scorpion Deathlock, she will hold the person up in the air by their legs while their legs are folded over like that. And it just looks
oof,
absolutely brutal because the women are like just screaming their heads off and waving their arms
mm-hmm,
and stuff. It just looks so brutal when she does that.
mm. Then there's the Cobra Clutch. That was another one that I guess if used correctly, it could probably be effective.
It was,
In
a
a,
it was another version of a chokehold. It was very similar
yeah,
to the Anaconda Vice.
yeah.
Kazuchika, I can never say his name right. Kazuchika Okada uses basically a version of that that he calls the money clip. He just started using that this year instead of just doing the Rainmaker short arm clothesline with a spin.
There was how many guys do you remember that used a version of the sleeper and just called it something else?
A lot of these holds are. That's what they,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
they are.
You know,
They're variations of sleeper hold.
the Cobra Clutch, sleeper hold, the
Anaconda
$1 Million
Vice.
Dream, Anaconda
Yeah.
Vice, $1 Million Dream, the Weaver sleeper, as Dusty Rhodes call it.
The one thing that the Anaconda Vice does that the others don't do is it added a wrist lock into it. So it was like being in the Kimura and the Cobra Clutch at the same time.
You know, I don't know. I think that my favorite finisher, as far as submissions goes, will always have to be that Scorpion Deathfly. Though I have to, in any list, I'd put that number one. And I will always call it a Scorpion Deathlock. No matter who's using it, it's a Scorpion.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, of course, The Rock's doing it, because The Rock's version of the sharpshooter looks stupid as shit.
Yes, it does. The only other guy that I would call it the sharpshooters if it's Bret Hart, but we're probably not likely to see that anymore.
Yeah, I used to watch The Rock put on that, and I was like, "What is that mess?
Yeah.
What the hell?" At that point, dude, just do a Boston Crab and call it a day. Just do a Boston Crab, call it a day, because now the Lion Tamer, that's another one. And I'm talking about the original Lion Tamer, not the one he was using in his
Not the
WWE
Walls of
days.
Jericho, which is just a Boston Crab.
Yeah. The Lion Tamer, he would actually hold them up in the air.
Yeah, their
and
neck
put
was
his knee.
at that weird angle, yeah.
He'd put his knee in the center of their back and pull back on it. And now that looked like it had some suck potential. But I always thought that was a good move. But he just stopped using it, and I don't know why. Unless it was something Vince said.
Might have been, because he was still using it in WCW until he went to WWE. They didn't use that anymore.
Yeah. Who knows? But like I said, I thought the Walls of Jericho was a fantastic finisher.
You mean the Lion Tamer?
Oh yeah, the Lion Tamer. Yeah, but he stopped doing that. There's just so many of them, man. Yeah. It gets me back to thinking about all these old matches that I used to watch. I remember when a good wrestling match, you would see 3 or 4, suplexes, a few body slams here and there. That's why I used to love to watch guys like the Steiner brothers wrestle. Or the Road Warriors. Because you'd see these big power moves, Even the Rock Express would do it. You'd see them doing, belly to back suplexes and, butterfly suplexes, this, that, and the other. You don't see that anymore. When's the last time you seen a butterfly suplex?
Oh yeah, you do. They call it the double underhook now, but you see people doing that in Japan a lot. But,
yeah, that's Japan, dude. Come on. That's the whole Japan thing. I'm talking about in an American audience or an American ring. You don't see it.
You still get guys doing that.
Not
very often, but you do.
or just a standard belly to back suplex.
Oh yeah, that's big. Depending on where and
You know,
NXT, there's a
and
lot of
I'm not talking about a released belly to back like a Brock Lesnar thing. I'm talking about where they just pick them up, hold them, and fall backwards with them.
yeah.
You know,
Um, yeah, if you remember a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how Magnum TA probably did the best belly to belly suplex. There's
oh
another
yeah,
guy.
well,
There's another guy right now in WWE that does what just looks so devastating when he does it. That's Big E, Big E Langston, man. Yeah, he's a former power lifter. He's
I wonder
not.
who Big E is.
Yeah, he did. I was watching SmackDown last night, and he grabbed Apollo Crews and did a belly to belly, and I cringed because it just looked like he totally squashed him like an ant.
Yep. Now, did he do the up and over belly to belly, or
He
just a
did two
pick
of
up and
those. He
slam?
he did two of the release overheads and threw them across the ring. Then for the third one, he grabbed them and did it Magnum TA style, and looked like he just put him through the ring. I mean, he looked like
Yep.
he just killed him with it.
If I'm not mistaken, and I'm very well could be, I think Magnum TA still holds the record for fastest victory in a wrestling match.
No,
And
no,
I think it was. I was thinking it was like something like 5 seconds.
nope. Sheamus beat it. Sheamus beat the record against Daniel Bryan. He came out. Daniel Bryan was in the ring waiting for him. It was for the World Heavyweight title. Sheamus comes out, bro kicks and covers him, and that's the end of the match. Took like
Huh.
4 seconds or something like that.
I don't know. Um, it'd be interesting to. I'm going to look that one up after the show tonight. Who has the fastest? Because if it is faster than Magnum, because if I remember this particular match, it wasn't against anybody special. It was a jobber, of course, enhancement talent. The guy attacked Magnum, and Magnum come into the ring. Magnum threw into the ropes. As he hits the ropes, the bell rang. Magnum belly to belly, 1, 2, 3, and it was over. Just that quick.
Yeah. Well,
No,
this match,
Magnum didn't
Sheamus
even take the vest off.
yeah, Sheamus came. I think Sheamus was cashing in the Money in the Bank. He gives the ref the briefcase. Bro kicks him. Ref rings the bell. He covers him. Boom, match over.
I think Midnight's stirring some crap out there. What do you think?
Man, well, it is midnight.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. He's a Travi. What do we expect from him?
He's a
Not,
chef and he's always trying to stir the pot.
pretty much. Pretty much. It's okay, Midnight. You do you, boo. Uh, what do you mean, a chef? Since when do Waffle House workers get the chef title?
Well, he has the hat anyway.
Well, this is true. This is true. But I'll say this: I bet he makes a damn good burger.
Tell you what, if you like beef lo mein, like my wife does, his filet lo mein, where he uses filet mignon for the beef in it, my wife fell in love with that when we went to the restaurant. When we went to the Great American Outdoor Show last February.
Midnight was there. Yeah. Poor Midnight.
Yeah.
We got to stop picking on him. Sometimes I feel bad about it.
And to answer your question, Sarge says he makes a mean burger. I don't know. I didn't have the burgers. I had a pepperoni pizza. But that was probably the best thin crust pepperoni pizza I've ever had in my life.
Well, see. How do we get off of wrestling and on the food? Every time Midnight comes in here,
Midnight's out there. It always happens. I mean,
we get off wrestling, we start talking about food. Midnight, no, this is not a food chat. We're not doing that.
you know what the worst part is? Midnight didn't mention food. Him just being out there was enough.
Yeah, exactly. The man is a bad influence on everybody. Period. Lord.
What the hell were we talking about?
Wrestling. We were talking about wrestling. And then the fry cook showed up.
Yeah. But yeah.
And put his 2 cents in. And ruined everything. You know, that's the one gimmick I don't ever remember in wrestling.
What?
Is a cook. I remember a barber, Brutus Beefcake.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a flower shop. I remember a lot of other things. I never remember a chef or a cook. Do you? A dentist? I remember that.
I know for a little bit of their run there, the New Day was making pancakes all the time.
Yeah.
It's about the closest I can remember.
Extreme cuddling.
I guess that's one way of putting it.
I think Midnight's jealous of their extreme cuddling. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, but no, I cannot think of a chef character.
No, neither can I, which is weird.
You had pig
Because, like I
farmers,
said-
garbage men,
Yep,
repo men, mailmen,
dentist,
dentists,
police officers, firefighters, Army,
Navy, Air Force, and Marines.
Yep, all of them's been covered more than once.
Coast Guard,
don't
prison
remember
guard.
that. Prison guard, I do. Bodyguard.
Yeah, bodyguard.
Superheroes.
Presidential candidate.
Yeah.
Twice.
Superheroes.
Yeah. Clowns. Bucks saying clowns.
Yep.
Circus
Voodoo
performers.
Yep. Voodoo priest.
Yeah. Insane African warriors. Insane Arab warriors.
Yeah.
Barbarians.
Yeah. Well, there's been quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Then there's a Ming. He's in his own category. You don't want to mix him in with anybody else. That would be dangerous.
To your health.
Bikers. There's been bikers.
Yeah, turkeys.
Yeah.
Gobbledygook.
Yep. I remember that. But no shit.
Midnight says Mankind was a cook. That's why he snapped. That's entirely possible.
Yeah, we've had demons, blue memes,
cowboys, sheriffs,
outlaws, Indians. Yeah.
Mexican bandits,
insane islanders.
Yeah.
Sheep herders and bushwhackers.
Yeah,
and they're the same too, and they're the same bunch.
Vampires, boogeymen,
and boogie men.
Yeah, werewolves.
But no chef.
Moon dogs.
Yeah. Moon dogs.
I can't remember a goddamn cook.
I can't remember a chef or a cook. Neither one. We've had gardeners.
Yeah.
Farmers.
Skeletons.
Skeletons and mountain men. We've even had chairmen.
Yeah.
But I cannot remember. Oh well, we've had princes
Dinosaurs.
and princesses
We had dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never once can I remember a chef or a cook.
Oh.
So AEW, listen up. Well, AEW, Impact, New Japan, all you guys listen up. You need to come up with a chef or a cook gimmick for somebody. Orange Cassidy would be a great choice.
No, he's too laid back.
Exactly.
No,
Could you
you
say?
know who I could see? You know who I could see as a crazy cook character? John
Who?
Silver.
You might have something.
That short little crazy guy.
You might have something. No cooks. We've got everything else, but no cooks. Bull riders, cowboys.
Mm,
Don't think we've ever had a fisherman either. Have we had a hunter? Yeah, we've had a hunter. There has been hunters.
Now there have been multiple guys that hunt.
Yeah, well, we've had giants, several of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just weird that we've never had a cook.
There's even been a chicken.
Yeah, there has. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, Vince McMahon was made to wear a chicken suit in a match before. So yes, we've had a wrestling chicken.
I'm trying to think. We've had movie stars.
A mummy.
A mummy.
At least one porn star that I can remember.
Yeah. Well, two, if you count Trish Stratus in there.
I mean, his actual character was being a porn star.
Oh, Val Venus?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, Michelle McCool did... not Michelle McCool. Michelle... oh, what the fuck's her name? She was a brunette. I can't remember her damn name now. It's Michelle something. She was a softcore porn star. She actually did the Cinemax type softcore porn movies.
I'm trying to think. We've had sailors.
Mm-hmm.
Tugboat.
Yeah.
We've had natural disasters.
Yeah. We've had earthquakes and typhoons.
Yep.
We've had the worst stormtrooper in history.
Yeah. Yeah. The Shockmaster. Could you imagine what Sting was thinking? He was sitting here doing this interview, and he says the Shockmaster, and this guy just collapses right through the thing.
Yeah, and Lex Luger had to turn away because he was starting to crack up laughing.
Oh man.
Yeah. We had Oz. We had the great and powerful Oz.
Yeah, we did have Oz. We had
the Yeti, which was actually a mummy.
And we had the Diamond Stud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
A trucker.
We had sexual chocolate.
Yeah.
And for anybody that's wondering, that would have been Mark Henry.
Yeah, a curry man. Yeah, the curry man. That was Christopher Daniels.
I had a ringmaster. Yeah, this is true. We had a games master and a taskmaster. We were the same guy. We had a Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no chefs, no cooks.
In fact, we had two different Zeuses. We had the Zeus from the movie, and then we had the actual god.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and the God of Thunder.
Uh-huh.
The Kiss Demon, we had that.
Yeah.
We had gods and demons and a renegade. Yeah. We had a rock star, Van Hammer. We've had rappers. ICP.
Well, John Cena.
Yeah, this is true. But we've never had a chef. See, Midnight, you should give up cooking and join the Impact Wrestling. You could be the first chef in wrestling. The Rockers? No, we've already had Rockers.
No, we've
In
had
fact,
Rockers and Midnight Rockers.
we've had Rockers, Midnight Rockers, and Rock and Roll Expresses. We've had
Yeah.
Midnight Expresses.
We had a USA Express.
Yep, for a short time.
2 different iterations.
Yeah. We also had the Orient Express, if you remember correctly.
Yeah.
So we've had quite a few expresses. We've had Road Warriors and
Wild Samoans.
Wild Samoans, and we've had Doom. We've even had a woman.
Yeah.
Yep. We've had 4 Horsemen.
A baby doll.
A baby doll. Yep. A Precious.
A Missy.
Lots of people had a Missy.
A Missy Hyatt.
Yeah, lots of people had a Missy. Apparently.
Well, a lot of people apparently had a Sonny too.
Yeah.
And there's film out there to prove it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's film of the Missy too. We just haven't seen it yet.
See,
Probably stashed in her personal collection.
There was a China, a Phoenix.
Yeah. And Asia.
Yeah. There was a male and a female Phoenix.
Yeah.
An Edge.
A Christian.
There's
a Brood.
Oh.
So we even had British Bulldogs.
Yeah, you had the Hardy Boys, but no Nancy Drew.
Yeah. Yeah, we've never had a Nancy Drew.
There's been Librarians.
But there has been a Drew. There has been Drews. Yeah, Librarians. The IRS, we've had that. So we have probably just named
a millionaire, a billionaire.
Yeah.
A snake, yeah.
Well,
that says a snake.
A dragon.
A dragon. A couple of dragons.
We've had a wheeling, dealing, kiss stealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun.
Yeah. There's a guy out there that actually dresses like a dragon. His makeup and mask combination. Oh my god.
We've had the son of a plumber.
Yeah.
The son of a plumber.
Who wined and dines with kings and queens and slipped in alleys eating pork and beans.
Yep. I love that interview. I love that, man. That promo was just fantastic. Yeah, we talk about wrestling promos all the time. I'd say the 2 best ever was Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair.
Oh, Dusty's probably the best guy on the mic ever.
He just oozed charisma, man.
Mm-hmm.
So
when Dusty had the mic, Dusty had the mic, you knew either something really profound was coming out of his mouth or something so goddamn goofy you couldn't help but laugh at him.
You put the American dream in hard times, Ric Flair. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, another one that was really good on the mic was the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Ooh, I freaked myself out when he was doing the promo about the little cups of creamer.
Yeah. I'll tell you who just drove me crazy listening to his promos was the Ultimate Warrior. That man would get on there and it would just be nonsense from the first sentence to the last. and people ate it up, and I'm like, why?
Well, I tell you what, him and Savage did the same promo style, but Savage was just so much better at it.
Yeah, seriously, seriously. Now I'll tell you who did great promos, and he don't get the credit for it that he deserves, and that's Jake the Snake Robert.
Oh yeah, Snake.
Because while everybody else was yelling and screaming, Jake never yelled and screamed really.
No,
He
he
got
was
what
always
he got.
quiet and whispering and
Uh-huh.
sinister as hell sounding.
Yep.
Whether he was a
He
face or a
was.
heel, he just sounded so damn sinister giving his promos. And Kevin
Yeah.
Sullivan was the same damn way for most of his
Yeah.
promos.
And that's why I like those. That's why Kevin Sullivan is just underrated, extremely underrated. He was good in the ring, and he just had a presence about him. He didn't have to be really big or really strong or be one of the muscle guys. He just had a presence.
Mm.
And I've heard people say he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
But he could just literally freak you out. I mean, he would give you chills with some of the crap that would come out of his mouth listening to his promos,
Oh,
particularly as a kid.
another guy who was fairly quiet on the mic was Arn Anderson.
Yeah. He didn't. That was another one that didn't do a lot of yelling and screaming.
He just told you how it was, whether you liked it or not.
Yeah, and the thing about Arn was this: 90% of the time, if he said something was going to happen, it happened. That was his gimmick. If he told you he was going to break your leg, guess what?
Yeah,
you could bank on it.
They called
getting hurt.
They called Arn the Enforcer. Arn, you know what Arn? It's not outside what he was. I always thought of Arn as the bouncer of the Four Horsemen.
Yeah,
If they had a
yeah.
club, Arn would have been the guy standing at the door letting people in or not.
Yeah.
And if he said go away, you better walk away.
I always considered Arn to be like the sort of the measuring stick of the Four Horsemen. Okay, you want a shot at Tully, you want a shot at Rick, you got to get through me, and I don't think you can get through me, and most people couldn't. And I think Arn would have been a great world champion. I wish he'd have had a chance at that title or with that title.
He didn't want it.
I know he didn't. I realize I've listened to enough of his podcast to realize that.
Yeah.
That's
just it. They may not have. I mean, we got an audience we're talking to here too.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. He didn't want. Let me rephrase that. I don't think it was that he didn't really want to win it. I think that he was happy in the position that he was at.
Yeah,
he
said he would have to have changed his style of wrestling too much, and his job wasn't to be the world champion. His job was to protect the world champion, and to be like you said, to be the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And if he did a better job of that, and he felt that the world television title, because of that, was more important than the world heavyweight title.
Now, if you ever watch the matches between Arn Anderson, and Ric Flair, and there was a few, those Arn gave Rick everything Rick could handle, and then some. Arn Anderson was every bit as good as a wrestler as most of the world champions you've ever seen. Could he have made a run with the title? I think absolutely, and I think he'd have been a great world champion. I think if he had ever got the opportunity to, let's say, go against a Sting and win the title, he'd have jumped all over it. or at least done it sort of the same way Ron Garvin did. Okay, I'm going to take it for now until you can figure out what you're going to do later. You know, just a guy to hold the title for a little while to get it off Ric Flair. So they can eventually give it to somebody else.
Yeah. Arn had a really good analogy. Professional wrestling isn't like professional boxing. In professional boxing, you have to hold the world title someplace in time to be considered great. In professional wrestling, you don't.
No, you don't. Look at some of the greatest wrestlers in history. How many times did Roddy Piper have a world heavyweight title?
Never.
One of the greatest ever. How many times did Scott Hall have a world heavyweight title?
Well, if you want to count the Intercontinental title as a world title, because technically, with that name, it is.
Yeah, technically, yes. But I'm talking about the big.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, as far as I can remember, I don't think he ever did.
Exactly.
Jake Roberts never did.
Did Jerry Lawler ever have the world title?
Yes, he was the AWA World Heavyweight title. He was the champion. He was the last one.
Yeah, well, there you go for that. All of these guys had the ability. They just didn't need it. Look at how much money Scott Hall, Roddy Piper, Jake Roberts. Look how much money these guys made.
Valentine. I mean, there's a who's who of guys that never held a world title, and they're considered to be all-time greats.
Yep, and they didn't need it. Roddy Piper never had to have that title on his waist to be a top draw.
No,
you could have put
dog collar matches between Roddy Piper and Greg the Hammer Valentine over the U.S. title were top draw matches. They were selling out arenas because those matches were just so damn crazy.
Yep. And here's the thing, man. On numerous, when you look at professional wrestling, the biggest draw on the card you would always expect to be the world champion versus whoever he's going against.
Yeah,
but when you're following a match like Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage for the Intercontinental title,
Jericho versus Kenny Omega,
Magnum TA versus Tully Blanchard. You know the match I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's all we're saying about that. That particular match, the main event that night was Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes. The match before that one, Tully and Magnum blew Dusty and Flair out of the water.
Oh yeah, Jericho versus Omega was Wrestle Kingdom 12, I want to say. The main event that night was Tetsuya Naito versus Kazuchika Okada for the the IWGP World Heavyweight title. That was a 5-star match. Jericho Omega was a 6.5-star match. Dave Meltzer's rankings only go up to 5.
So, yeah. Where does Dave put the match? And you know what the match is?
I don't know. I've never seen his ranking for it.
Neither have I. I'd be interested.
There's only one that's ever got 7.
Which one's that?
Omega Okada 3 or 4 rather. The 2 out of 3 falls that went over 60 minutes.
Yeah. And see, that's something else that you don't see anymore. You don't see these long, drawn-out matches. I don't think most guys have the cardio for it. They got too much bulk.
Yeah, the one place you're going to see those is going to be Japan.
Yeah. I
They
miss
just
them.
had,
I miss them.
yeah, they just had the longest match in Wrestle Kingdom history between I can't remember if it was Naito Ibushi. I think it wasn't Naito Ibushi. I think it was Jay White versus Kota Ibushi for the double championship. They went 48 minutes and 30 seconds, I believe.
Well,
In a
we got
one
ourselves.
fall.
We just got ourselves in trouble, Rich.
Why?
Well, gun loving grandpa out there says, Ellis and Rich, just want to say thanks, guys. I'm going to be up all night watching old wrestling matches. You're welcome, sir.
You're welcome, Buck.
That's our job. You know,
Yeah.
if you want a good place to start, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, Scaffold match. It's a great one. For what a scaffold match is, it was great.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
Buck was asking about New Japan. Another good place to start. It's not real old. Wrestle Kingdom this year. Wrestle Kingdom, what was it 14, 15? They had some. They had some classics on there, and that just the new guys. I mean, that are out there over in Japan. The talent level of the guys over there in New Japan is unbelievable.
Yep.
The fact that
Okay.
they don't get the recognition that they deserve because they're over in Japan instead of here, and it sucks because of the COVID. They were on the brink of just breaking out here in the U.S. and then COVID hit.
Well, you're not going to go wrong starting with the Four Horsemen, Grandpa. If you're going to do that, I would say start in about January of '86.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. About the
About
time
January of
when they
'86.
jumped Dusty in the parking lot and break his arm or his leg rather. Yeah, that's where you really want to start. 'Cause that's where it really gets good with them and Dusty and their feud.
Yep. Anyway, Rich, we've been going about an hour and 22 minutes. I was planning on ending this one in about an hour. So,
Hey,
bit late,
hey, you know what? You know
but it's
why?
been fun.
You know why we've gone that long? One, we had fun topics to talk about, and two, we had good audience participation. So don't thank us, thank you out there in the audience for being out there and helping us out with different things like Teresa out there when we couldn't think of the name of the one wrestler, and then you guys throwing out various different gimmicks and stuff, and yeah,
Yep.
it's appreciated, guys.
Absolutely, guys. We wouldn't be here without you. So we love what we do. Hopefully, we're going to be doing it for a lot longer. I'd really like to get some guests in here one of these nights for me and Rich to grill.
Kingpin doesn't count.
Well, yeah, Kingpin always counts, but he didn't show up tonight. I was,
He
wasn't in the
was
chat.
working all day. He's probably in bed already.
Yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am calling this one done. We're going to put a fork in it, flip it over. Midnight Range can, test it. Hopefully, it ain't too bad. We're going to get out of here. Rich, you got anything to say? Anything to plug? Anything you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, poor Biker Bob shows up right at the end as we're getting ready to close it off.
Well, that's normal.
Yeah.
Biker Bob never ever shows up on time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank each and every one of you guys for being here. I love you all. I'd like to say thank you for Rich, and guys, we will see you next Saturday night if everything goes well. Talk to you later. Adios.